How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I'm here with Trevor and Danny, and today is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all the guys out there. Trevor, I know you're a father, so happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you.
Today is going to be a special episode. We're going to be talking about current events, and one big thing that happened recently that I know you guys really want to talk about is the NBA championship. So go ahead. You guys can have the floor, whoever wants to start.
Dubs. Go ahead, Danny.
That's right. Yeah, the Warriors finally got their redemption. They got revenge on the Cavs. First off, I'm still never going to get over last season's, but this was at least a good start.
It was almost preconceived, I know, for a lot of non-Warriors fans. Come last 4th of July when Durant said, I'm taking my talents to Oakland, basically. A lot of people had this preconceived notion of, the Warriors are just going to win it. They're just too good a team. So it was kind of interesting seeing that aspect play out, even though they did dominate the playoffs in whole. Sure, they had some help along the way with Kawhi getting hurt. I'm sure that series would have been interesting. But it was kind of cool to see them dominate the playoffs and see how the NBA reacts to this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So cool. So cool to be a fan of the Warriors and watch them dominate. But anybody on the outside was watching them just do what you knew was going to happen the minute that Durant signed. It was a no-brainer.
Well, coming from you, Noel, you're a Lakers fan. I mean, back in the early thousands, wasn't it awesome for you too, just to witness greatness then with Shaq and Kobe? I mean,
yeah, I do kind of feel like it's a little unfair as a Laker fan because we had years of the exact same thing, so I can't really bitch about it. But I mean, I don't know, because we also had a Kobe era where it was literally just him and pieces around him. So it would have been like Curry and his team that he had around him. He didn't have. If he would have done it again without Kevin Durant this time, it would have been huge. But, I mean, during the finals, he was like in the back burner because it was all about Kevin Durant and how amazing he was doing.
Which was really crazy, too, because Curry had a hell of a finals. If Durant was not on their team, he easily would have won the MVP.
He would have won.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, if they would have won. I still think that we let last year slip away as well, but that's in the past now. But this year, I just have to say, it was really interesting to see the storybook actually finish, because we knew that the Warriors were going to win the finals the second that Durant signed. Like, in your heart of hearts, you knew that the odds were with them. They were the favorites in Vegas. They were the favorites with fans around the league. They were going to win. And it was, is anyone else going to stand up? And we automatically knew the finals was going to be the Warriors versus the Cavs. Everyone knew that. I had no hope of anyone else coming out of the East. I don't know. Do you think the Celtics had a shot against them? Not this year, I don't think. Maybe next year, but not this year.
No, because honestly, if you look at it in the way that the playoffs even played out, it was literally sweep after sweep after sweep. There was no competition. I mean, the Cavs went into it fresh, and the Celtics just came off of a 7-game series with the
Wizards.
Yeah, I'm sorry. With the Wizards, yeah. I mean, that whole series with John Wall, that was insane. But yeah, so I mean, like you said, everybody kind of knew it was going to be the Cavs and the Warriors. And as a fan of basketball, it was honestly so annoying to sit there and watch the games and by halftime not even care about the game anymore because it was already a blowout. I mean, what was the point differential in almost all of those games? It was like, 20, 30 points? Even this first Cavs-Celtics game, the first 2 games were 30-point differences by halftime. It's like, you don't even want to sit there and watch that. I don't even know if fans wanted to sit there and watch that after that point.
Yeah, it's really true. There wasn't a lot of parity this year. I mean, there were a couple of upsets or teams that weren't supposed to win, like the Jazz beating the Clippers. I don't necessarily think everyone thought they were going to do that. Everyone's probably popular pick, if you're not a real well-educated NBA fan, was that Chris Paul was going to get them through to the next round. But it was nice to see a couple of teams get a little farther. But, man, the Warriors they crushed everyone, 16-1. I mean, that's tied for the best record in NBA playoffs history, if I'm not mistaken.
I think technically it's the best because when the Lakers went 15-1 because they had the 5-game series in the first round.
That's true.
Technically it is the best.
That's true. That's very true.
What do you guys getting technical
about? Yeah. What do you guys think about the whole Draymond versus LeBron thing going back and forth during the parade and on social media?
I mean, there has to be some sort of clapback for the Ultimate Warrior shirt that LeBron wore.
The tombstones and all that.
And I thought it was just hilarious how, with Draymond wearing that shirt, LeBron goes out and says, I'm in your head. It's like, not really. I mean, they dominated the series. I mean, sure, Draymond didn't really have a big hand offensively, but he's the voice of the Warriors. He's the one that's in everybody's face.
And it's true. It took a record-setting 3-point night for the Cavs to get one game in that series. I thought it was going to go 6 just because I thought LeBron and Kyrie were that good when they are that good. I've never seen anyone finish around the hoop like Kyrie does. That's insane.
It was crazy. Yeah, I remember I was texting Trevor on during some of the nights of the game, and I was losing my mind because Kyrie was doing some stuff that I just couldn't believe he was Uncle Drew for sure.
Yeah.
It looked like he was making a commercial out there, just doing some crazy stuff on the court. But I do want to get back to the Draymond Green thing. It did seem like he kind of wasn't as into it as he was last year. I don't know if because it was all so offensive and it was all about Kevin Durant and what he was doing, but I felt like Draymond wasn't as into the game as he was last year. Maybe because he didn't get as many texts, so it wasn't as built up in the media.
He was more disciplined. Definitely more disciplined this year.
Maybe that's what it was.
More disciplined, and also he got in a lot of foul trouble. I mean, the first game he had 2 fouls within the first couple minutes, and he had to sit for such a long time, and he was always in foul trouble. And call me biased for being a Warriors fan, but I feel like they definitely helped the Cavs at the early stages of each game with the fouls, because the Warriors were always in more foul trouble than the Cavs. The Warriors always had to get the catch up as far as the foul calls go.
Yeah, and the Warriors didn't really ever pull away in those first 2 games until the third quarter. They were close games until the third quarter, which as a Warriors fan, that's when we do it. We do it right out of the locker room at halftime. But hey, it was a good finals. It was good for a Warriors fan, and we're now super villains, this super team.
Well, I'm sure Noel will say it's like, oh, that final sucked because how we talk about the preconceived notion of the Warriors winning from when Durant signed, but based off of the numbers, it was the most watched finals since 1998.
Very true.
So how can you say that, the Warriors super team is bad for the NBA when they has made a killing as far as ratings go, Noel?
I don't think it was that. I think it was more people just wanted it to be more competitive than it was. When you look at the 2 super teams, I don't really think that the Cavs super team matches up with the Warriors super team at all. I mean, the Warriors were already an amazing team going into it. It's not like the Cavs picked up Jimmy Butler or something in the offseason to match a Kevin Durant. They were already pretty matched as it was. And I think the Warriors, to call them a super team now, what the hell were they last year when they were going on that streak and trying to break the record? Are they a god team? Come on.
Well, the thing is, too, is you can't, arguing from the other side, you can't call them a dynasty yet. They've only won 2. So why is everyone jumping on them? There could be injuries next year. They might not even make the finals next year. The West is 10 times harder than the East.
Well, yeah, for sure.
If you look at when Durant got hurt by Zaza falling on his leg, that moment right there, if Durant got hurt more than he did, that would change.
The best thing that could have happened to Kevin Durant because he went into the finals so fresh. He didn't play half the season. What guy has signed with the team, only had to play half a season, and then got to show up for the playoffs and just dominate?
And shoot like 50% from the field.
Oh, okay. Playoffs time? This is exactly why I joined the Warriors. I'm stoked. That's exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, it was super funny because I was talking with my brother, and he was saying before the finals that he was kind of worried about if it was going to be a repeat of last year. And I just said, don't worry about it, because last year they keyed on Curry. They 100% keyed on Curry, and when you double team a superstar, it's still tough for that superstar to shoot. They can't double team 2 A-plus superstars.
That's why I thought it was hilarious how they talked about, the Warriors went up 2-0 last year as well, and look what happened then. It's like, this isn't the same Warriors team. This Cavs team was, for the most part, the same from the year before when they won it.
Yeah.
Maybe add in, Kyle Korver and Darren Williams.
Who really didn't get integrated enough into that offense to be worth anything, honestly.
No, not at all. But to compare those 2 Warriors teams against the Cavs is it's almost an insult to this Warriors team.
So I guess my question is, because of this super team thing, do you think any other teams are going to follow this model? We've had a lot of rumors coming from the Celtics with their trading of the first overall pick. We were just talking about this before. Do you think the Celtics are going to stock up?
I think there's 2 ways you go about it. You either go the Cavs route and let your superstar bring superstars in, whether they be with trades or through free agency. But LeBron's way was definitely through trade. He said, do whatever you got to do, pick up this guy because I want him. I don't care who we got to give up. I want this guy. Kind of the same way they got Korver. Just out of nowhere, he's like, I need help. Boom, Korver shows up. But the Warriors are different. They didn't do it that way. They did it through a draft. They did it the right way. So they didn't technically pick and choose their team. They built a super team, which is why I say last year's team I almost think is more impressive than this year's team. Like, anybody could sign a Kevin Durant and automatically be good. It's like Peyton Manning getting put on your team. You're going to have a great quarterback. It's just facts. But going, like you said, with the Celtics, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, they have all these extra picks now. They could potentially use that to create their own team, and it's going to be more like a Cavs situation to where it's a lot harder to build a team like the Warriors have. So I could see it going a lot more like LeBron status and them calling out who they want to be on their team.
Right now, when we're talking about the Celtics, obviously they're a Cavs situation where they have to build it right away in order to compete right away. But there's a lot of teams already being built right now that won't compete this next year, but in 2 to 3 years they could really compete for title shots. I'm thinking of the Bucks and the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves have stocked up a lot of young talent. All they need is a couple years in the league to get accustomed to
Philly right now.
Philly
Philly's got a
too,
really
especially
good
now
team.
with the number 1 overall pick.
They're going to get Fultz.
They're going to get Fultz. As long as Joel Embiid can stay healthy, which
that's the question.
That's the process of him. Not how well he plays on the court, is him staying on the court.
He's incredible.
He's a great player. That's without a doubt. And then they could also trade Jahlil Okafor and get maybe a strong wing player to go along with it.
It's crazy. I'm looking forward to next season already. I think it's going to be exciting to see. I think more talent's going to get built in the East. I think for sure the Celtics are going to get Gordon Hayward for sure. I think he wants to reunite with his old coach. I think that's going to happen. And I think what you were saying earlier, that thing about Jimmy Butler possibly getting traded for with all this stockpile of first round picks that the Celtics have, I think the Cavs are finally going to have a rival. I think LeBron is finally going to have a rival in the East.
I think it's interesting. I remember during the finals, they had the interview with the commish, and we're talking about the super teams and how things seem like they're getting out of hand. And he said, I don't understand why everybody's upset with the super teams. It just means everybody else needs to pick up their talent and kind of pick up their pace and do better, basically. Say, don't bitch about it, just be better. And it makes sense because it's like, yeah, you can't sit there and just complain, oh, these guys are so good, it's not fair. It's like, no, you guys are in the NBA too. You guys just need to play better. It makes sense to me. I mean, I'm not a hater on the super teams. I think it's good for the NBA. It just means that the pressure's on. Teams got to do what they got to do to make the situation better for them and push to get to the playoffs. It's not going to be an easy road.
I mean, you can almost compare what the Warriors and Cavs, for that matter, what they're doing right now is reminiscent of what the Bulls did in the 90s. I mean, was that bad for the NBA? The Bulls playing, I mean, Michael Jordan, Pippen, the Bulls is playing amazing basketball for so long. I mean, if Jordan didn't retire, they would have won 8 straight titles.
That's very true.
I mean, you cannot take that away. That would have happened.
What worries me, and it's not super teams, I think it's the transition of how basketball has changed. The big man's gone now. It's all about shooting, and it creates the point differentials that everybody hates. No, the whole thing, the reason people are so annoyed with the way the NBA is now is because you only have to watch 2 quarters of the basketball game. I mean, even fans don't make it through the whole game because it's pretty much over by the fourth quarter. Nobody wants to watch the 80th pick in the draft come in at point guard when you want to be sitting there watching Kyrie. But in the fourth quarter, you're going to take your guy out. The same situation with the resting the players and stuff like that. But the way that the NBA has transitioned to a shooters league, it's strictly whoever's going to have the hot hand is going to win the game. Look at the Cavs in the finals. They had that record-setting three-point game. It's just all about shooting. Who can hit the threes? And that's why the Warriors are so good. It's because they're consistent with it. So to build a team that's going to be that consistent at shooting is going to be tough. So it's going to, this whole transition of getting this point differential to be closer is going to be tough. There might be a game where both teams are shooting 80%, which will be amazing, but the scores are going to be like 140, 140, like
old school.
It's going to be different.
ABA.
And the reason Dwight Howard isn't who he is anymore is because of this new style of basketball. I mean, he's barely getting the minutes that he had, and he's still young. He just can't keep up. That's why Porzingis is such a big name right now, because he's a big man that can shoot the three. I mean, it's just different, and it worries me. I don't know how you build a team anymore. Could you even look at big men anymore?
It's all about proficiency. I mean, that was a big thing when Durant signed with the Warriors about, there's only one ball. It's like, well, you have to shoot exceptionally well in order to keep going. That's why, like the Rockets, James Harden is a great athlete, great shooter. They have great shooters on that team. They have their games where, I mean, I remember watching them play the Warriors where they scored 90 points before halftime. Just like, oh my gosh, they are just shooting lights out. And just like how you guys have both brought up, the Cavs winning Game 4, they had to shoot at a crazy pace, hit a ton of threes, a record number of threes in order to win that game. I mean, the Warriors were still shooting at 50%. They scored 60-something points before halftime. I mean, those are great numbers, but the Cavs are just shooting at such a crazy rate. That's hard to... You can't go against a pace that is just a crazy night. You know, it's like an off night, but in a good way.
And speaking of Game 4, that was one where the refs were so involved in it, right? And calls left and right.
That game was like a snail's pace. It
Do
was
you guys
hard to
think
watch.
that the whole, because right before that game, they were talking about how much money the NBA was losing for all these sweeps and everything like that. They were in line to lose like 22 mil or something like that for on home games or something because of the sweeps. Do you think that that actually plays into how the refs were calling games, or is that just conspiracy?
No, I think it does. I think everything in sports, everything in media, everything in the world is run by money. I think everything is money decisions now. And I think that why would the league want a series to only go 4 games? It doesn't make any financial sense. And
especially the NBA, they stretch that on forever.
Especially a game like the NBA where the refs have such a high involvement and can change the game. It only makes sense that, hey, you know what? We'll call a little bit harder on the Warriors just to see if the Cavs get close. If they don't get close, whatever, then the Warriors are going to sweep them. But if we can maybe slow down the shooters a little bit, and we'll kind of see what happens with this game. I don't think they interfere with it that much. I think that's a lot of conspiracy theories, but I think they can do enough to get 2 quick fouls on someone, maybe change the rhythm of the game a little bit. And I don't see why the league wouldn't do that. I mean, it just makes sense. If I was in charge and I could stand to make, what do you say, $22 extra million? Why not do it? That's the name of the game, money.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big thing. It was I remember I was watching ESPN or something. They were talking about how the Celtics, because they had so many home games and how they went 7-game series and stuff like that, they ended up making more money than the Cavs did, and they ended up going to the finals. So it was weird how the numbers kind of stacked up. But I could see, like you're saying, I mean, it just makes sense. It all comes down to the money. Why wouldn't you try to? Obviously, you don't want to like kind of shave points or whatever, but you got to control it a little bit because you don't want to sweep in the finals. Nobody wants to see that.
Well, if you notice, if you watch any basketball game, including the playoffs, in the first half they call plays certain ways, and the second half they change the way that they call everything. Because the NBA has an influx and be like, hey, you guys are calling this too tight. Hey, you're not calling this enough. This is starting to get a little out of hand. Punches are being thrown. The refs have definitely, even though the game is called so much tighter now, they don't control the game as much, especially with reviews.
Do you think that had to do with Draymond getting suspended last year?
Absolutely. I've said that since last year. I said, you know what? It's going to sound like I'm a Warriors homer, but they realized that, wow, we got to start of a dynasty right here. And LeBron is the best player in the NBA, hands down. We can't have him get put down like this 2 years in a row. We just can't. We need parity in this league. And if the Warriors are going to win this series, so what? But let's give LeBron a chance. And I think that's what happened.
I mean, let's just face it. LeBron is the best player in the
Absolutely.
NBA. And I think anybody can say that. Even Warriors fans need to be
He should win the MVP every year.
Just look at his stats. I mean, in the finals, it's not like they stopped him. He was still averaging 30 points a game. Didn't he average a triple-double at the end of this finals? Like,
it's 2 finals in a row, right?
That's insane.
Didn't he average a triple-double last year, too?
He was very close.
If not, he was very close, yeah.
And I'm a diehard Kobe fan. Yeah. I don't ever want to say anybody's better than Kobe, but good God, LeBron James is something else, man.
Here's the thing. Here's how I say it. If Kobe was the same size as LeBron, he would be better than LeBron, but he ain't.
Yeah, he's just not. I mean,
that's physical talent.
I still take that Mamba mentality, but to be the king is nice.
Yeah.
One thing that, since we kind of talked about the parity creation by kicking Draymond out, if we want to talk about collusion in the NBA, what do you guys think of this? Cavs win the finals last year.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about being like, hey, Warriors, you guys are going to lose the finals this year, but you guys get Durant?
Well, it's like Draymond said. Draymond's like, hey, if we got Durant as a consolation prize, that's a pretty good loss.
I mean, who's to say that the NBA didn't already speak to Warriors before they
too
did
deep, man. That's deep.
Could it not be done though? I mean, we talk about the wet envelope for drafting for the next game, the number 1 overall pick. I mean,
that's true.
There's stuff out there, and the NBA is probably one of the most dirtiest ones, and calling officials being paid by the mob to big games. I mean, I can't think the players as a competitive person. I just don't think they could do that. That's
like finding out your mother's a whore. You just don't want to believe it, man.
Don't want to believe that.
But it happens.
Yeah. But no, I really just think it boils down to money. And I think the league does what they can to control it to the point where we can't tell it's being fixed or anything, but they'll do enough to do what they can to influence it. It all comes down to money, man.
Yeah, the Kevin Durant thing, I mean, that was going on for a long time because there's been reports that the Warriors have been pushing to get Kevin Durant for a long time. So to say that the NBA got involved in that, I mean, it might have been thrown out there or something like that, but I think that it was the team wanting to get Kevin Durant.
And I think Kevin Durant wanted to play with some guys that he knew he would have fun playing with. We forget this game is fun.
If Kevin Durant would have won that series last year, that they should have won against when it was Thunder and Warriors 3-1. Do you think that he still would have went to the Warriors after the fact?
No.
Or you think he would have got his championship and be like, oh no, I'm cool, we can keep this going?
Yeah, if they beat the Cavs, he's staying.
See, that's bullshit because they had him beat.
But they didn't beat him.
It's bullshit.
That's Klay Thompson winning that game.
Kevin Durant going to the Warriors was the weakest thing I've ever seen in my life as a competitor. I would never be the type of person that could go to the team that beat me 3-1 and be like, all right, yeah, well, we'll see how it goes this year. Like, no, you're a little bitch. I'm sorry, Kevin Durant. You're a little bitch.
Well, what if we talk about like this? Westbrook, point guard of the Oklahoma City Thunder, shoots, 30, 35 times a game? And Durant almost averaged 18 shots a game as they were teammates. How is that? Durant is way better than Westbrook. I don't care what.
He didn't shoot that much with the Warriors this final series either. He was shooting 18 shots and
exactly,
he was just making
he made 18.
Yeah.
But they're sharing the ball more. The ball movement. Westbrook is such an ISO player.
Oh, well, it's completely different teams, yeah. But they were up 3-1, man. You can't sit there and say because they lost that it's Westbrook's fault. No, they were up 3-1 because of Westbrook.
It was always Westbrook's fault, though.
I can see what you're saying because I was watching this morning on ESPN. They had the Lakers and Celtics at best
no, I haven't watched it yet.
But just
30 for 30?
Yeah, it was amazing because they were talking about how many times in a row Jerry West and the Lakers lost to the Celtics. I mean, we're talking like 6 or 7 times in a row, and they likened it to pushing that boulder up the mountain and getting it right to the very top, and then it slips and it goes all the way back down the bottom. And he was talking about just how crushing it was to lose over and over and over again to teams sometimes that were worse than them.
Yeah, but they didn't turn around and go join the Celtics.
Exactly.
And be like, fuck it,
so that's why I said that's why I kind of agree with you a little bit. But also, I would want to play with my friends. If I'm friends with these people, I would want to play with them.
You play with them in the All-Star game. You play with them in
All-Star game's not a
the
game.
Olympics. You don't play with them when it's a competition, man. Danny, if you beat me every time we played basketball, I would not join you and be like, all right, screw it. I can't beat you, so might as well join you.
What if I was like, dude, we'll have so much fun.
No,
we'll
you wouldn't even do that.
Fun.
No,
come
no
on.
way. I would never.
You gotta liken the Jerry West thing. Times have changed.
Yeah, people have become bitches.
AAU has changed sports entirely. AAU has changed it, where you are playing travel ball with these players up until you're leaving high school. You are playing with the best athletes in the world throughout your teenage years, and then all of a sudden you're in the NBA, like, oh, we can actually play together in the NBA. How would you not want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm being a little ridiculous. Obviously, it was the best business decision possible. It was the best move for him. It was the best place for him. He probably should have been a Warrior from day one. The system fits him perfectly. I can't think of another player that would be a better fit for the Warriors, but it was a bitch move. And everybody knows it. Everybody can say it. He even knows it. That's probably why he was freaking shy and shit like that at the beginning. He didn't want to talk to the media and this and that. But once he gets his championship, he's all over the place.
Okay, so here's the thing. You said it was a great financial decision. He's going to make so much damn money. Just like, segue here.
Oh, yeah.
Just like 2 guys who are going to make $100 million each to fight each other.
That shouldn't even be in the same ring together.
Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather finally got announced this past week. August 26th, right? It's going to happen in Vegas.
I've already circled it on my calendar. I've taken the day off of work. It's Megan's sister's birthday weekend, and I've already told her that no one cares because they're going to be watching Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather.
Hell yes. We got 49-0 versus 0-0. And it's
undefeated champs.
It's going to be insane,
Yeah,
man.
no, let's talk about this. I'm annoyed that it's happening, but excited. I think Conor McGregor has no business in the ring, and especially against the greatest boxer of our time. But everybody's going to watch it. I mean,
it's going to be the biggest spectacle.
Money talks, and this is exactly what it is. I mean, here's what I don't understand. Do you even think it's going to be worth watching, though?
Oh, yes. It's going to be worth watching for the spectacle alone. Conor might not even land. Well, Max Kellerman was saying he might not land one punch. I think Conor will land a punch or two. But
do you?
Oh, I do. I think he'll land a punch or two. How can you not land one punch in a fight? And he's not going to get knocked out.
Floyd,
I understand
Mayweather.
that. He's going to hit him somewhere, though. He might not hit him where he wants to hit him, but he's gonna hit him. They're big gloves. It's gonna happen.
They might graze him.
Yeah. And here's the thing too.
Pacquiao thought he hit Floyd.
One of the things I wanted to talk about is, did any of you see that video that boxer released of Conor's training footage? That was from a year ago, though. That just came out that it was from a year ago. I understand he's not going to be anywhere near Floyd's speed, but man, he makes you believe that he is. He really does. It's hard to doubt Conor's like his belief.
Here's my issue with it. He had that same belief the first time he fought Nate Diaz, and everybody believed, oh, he's got this. And then he went and got choked out. And then it took a whole nother round of training and this and that for him to even be at the same level with Nate Diaz. I still think that if it would have went a couple more rounds, Nate Diaz would have ended up winning that fight.
Well, yeah, Nate Diaz runs triathlon.
Exactly. So he wants to go 12 rounds with a guy that's been doing this his whole life, who made his bread and butter on doing this.
Oh, it's going to be an amazing fight for Floyd.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But then what happens if he loses?
Oh my God. If he loses, that's a vent in time and space. Like the world's going to end.
If Floyd loses.
Yeah. If Conor wins, if Conor somehow lands his lucky left hook and, lucky charms his way to a win, like, oh my God, the world's going to end. Boxing's done. Literally, it will never gain that.
De La Hoya might just kill himself.
Seriously. You know what's funny is he wanted, how many months ago he said he wanted Canelo to fight him? That'd be a great fight if Canelo fought Floyd. All of a sudden it's money versus McGregor. No. Now he's mad because he knows it's going to overshadow Canelo and Triple G. Yeah. He knows it is.
What are they, like a month apart from each other?
If you don't have the money to buy both, that screws legit boxing because Canelo and Triple G is going to be a hell of a fight, but it ain't the spectacle.
That's why I feel like this fight, it's all just hype leading into it. I mean, the fight itself, even if it goes 12 rounds, which we all know it won't.
No, it could.
I think it could easily go. He's so much bigger.
Floyd's not going to knock him out. McGregor's not going to get knocked out. Floyd's just not a knockout guy.
Floyd's got brittle hands.
He's a defensive boxer.
Exactly.
The whole time they're going to be dancing around, they're going to be hugging it out. It's going to be
boring.
It's going to be a boring match.
It's going to be a $100 million 12-round bore fest.
Let's talk how much that pay-per-view is going to be, though. You think it's going to be over 100? I think it's going to be 129. That's how much I think it's going to be.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but no, it's going to be 100 at least, right?
Oh,
it's Conor McGregor's favorite number. That's what it's going to be. It doesn't fucking matter.
100, yeah.
Whoever gets him as much money as Floyd, that's how much.
I think I'm looking forward to the interviews before the fight more than anything else. Conor with that mouth going up against Floyd, I think that's going to be amazing. I think the build up to this fight is going to be 1,000 times better than the fight.
Oh yeah, I mean the hype between Conor and Nate Diaz was the pre-fights are going to be out of this world. This is a whole nother world. Floyd Money Mayweather is going to have so much fun with this.
Oh, it's going to be
been so quiet. That's kind of weird.
He's got to be saving it.
You think so?
Yeah. You know what's crazy is like,
you think he's taking it seriously?
He better.
He has to.
He better because his legacy's on the line. If for some reason he got Jose Aldo'd just on a freak chance, a puncher's chance, Floyd becomes nobody.
Oh, that one blemish from an Irishman that's never been in a freaking boxing ring. Oh,
that'd be it. No, seriously, that would destroy Floyd. Destroy him.
But then
you lost to that MMA guy.
Does he get an instant rematch?
Oh, I don't think Conor doesn't give rematches.
He gets them though.
Yeah, but Conor,
that's irrelevant.
That's irrelevant.
Come on,
Conor doesn't defend belts. Come on.
He wins belts.
He wins belts.
Where's
my fucking belt?
I was about to get in an argument with Megan's dad last night over this exact topic. Because he thinks it's going to be a 3-fight thing where they're going to have one match and then have another because they're just trying to make all this money. I said that Conor's going to retire after this, regardless of the fact of what happens, because he's got a kid now. And that's all he's worried about is he just wants to be financially stable.
I've already said there's no reason for him to go back to the UFC.
No, absolutely.
There's no reason.
What's there left to prove?
Nothing. He's already got 2 belts.
What is there to prove from Money Mayweather? He's already got everything.
He wants that 50-0. He wants money, exactly, and he wants 50-0. Because if he's
50-0.
Yeah, if he's 50-0, he has the best record in the history of boxing. He'll pass Rocky Marciano.
Well, this got to be one of the easiest fights for a boxer.
What a shitty way to get
49
your 50. Come on.
That's nobody's gonna remember this in 50 years.
This is the Kevin Durant move of boxing.
Let's calm down.
Bitch move. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Man.
Noel's just saying bitch today.
Just say bitch move. You don't need to compare Durant to this.
Whatever. I'm just saying.
Don't bring this guy into this argument.
Dude, you know how many people... It's going to shut down the internet. Like, you know how many people are going to be streaming this around the world? It's going to be insane.
Kim K thought she broke the internet. Calm down.
Yeah. Have you seen the McGregor Mayweather tape?
Good God. All jokes aside, it could be really exciting because, I mean, you really don't know what Conor's going to bring to the table. You didn't know what he was going to bring to the table when he fought Nate Diaz. Nobody thought he had a chance. He went in there and he proved that he could do it. But
Conor's proved us wrong so many times. That's the thing that makes it you feel like he has that puncher's chance because of how confident he is in himself, and he's done a lot of things that we didn't think honestly he was going to do.
He's a fighter. I mean, you can't sit there and say that he's not going to, like you said, that lucky left hand. It could happen. That's why people are going to put money on him.
I feel like this is like, in a sense, like the ultimate like Rocky moment in boxing, because nobody's really giving Conor a chance.
Yeah,
because how could you? How could you give him the favorite to win
You
against
think
a guy
he's in
that's
his
never lost?
garage punching freaking cowhides?
Oh, that'd be so dope. I'd want to see him running through the streets of Ireland, like to some like greet like the Boondock Saints, like background, like this.
He's coming out to what's her name? The girl who sings whenever she sang live and came out, and he says, "Hey, whenever she sings, you keep your mouth shut. You respect her." The Foggy Dew or whatever she sings.
The Dropkick Murphys,
Yeah, something like that. You know.
I don't know. I'm pretty excited about it. When I saw the news break on ESPN, I grabbed everybody that was at work and I was like, "You guys gotta see this! It's happening! It's happening!"
It's a fight of our generation. It really is. When you think about it, what's the most relevant?
So shitty because it's not even like the fight of fights. It's not.
It's a spectacle.
LeBron versus Kevin Durant.
It's a spectacle.
It's Mickey Gall going up against the WWE fighter. It's not worth anybody's time.
It's the idea of it being great that makes it great.
And it's also the fact that Conor's one of the biggest sports celebrities in the world. And he's brought himself there. And he's Irish, too. That's the thing, man. I don't know. What is that tiny little green island? Man, they get into people's minds when there's something about it. If he was just like another guy from the United States, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But it's his whole persona. He's this crazy Irishman.
It's not good for the UFC. I don't think it's good for the UFC. Conor McGregor has not been... He was good for the UFC when he was making his triumphant, I'm going to get 2 belts and I'm going to fight through everybody I can to get there. But as soon as he finished off, what was it, Eddie? Mm-hmm. It was over for the UFC. And it's been going downhill since.
It's that new ownership, honestly.
Well, yeah, Conor leaves, does whatever he wants. There's nobody defending his belts. And it's been going downhill. Bellator's getting all of the big fights now. They're about to be at MSG.
It's going to be a great card.
Yeah.
Ryan Bader, Phil Davis, Mitrione versus Fedor. That's going to be a good card. That's the first Bellator card I will actually pay attention to, in all honesty.
And it's going to be the start of Bellator taking over the UFC, because now, I mean, look what the side shows that the UFC is having. They're promoting McGregor going and fighting against a boxer.
Yeah, because in all honesty, the 3 biggest stars, if you were to look a year or so in the past, were McGregor, Rousey, John Jones. John Jones hasn't fought in forever. He can't keep his life straight. Rousey got knocked the fuck out twice, and she's done now. She's not going to fight anymore.
No,
there's no point.
I don't think she could. She wanted to.
Exactly. And then McGregor isn't even fighting anymore. He's going to be boxing with Floyd. So the UFC they're going downhill when it comes to the amount of fights they're putting out. And now they're putting together spectacles instead of putting the best fighters in the cage for the championship.
Exactly. And then in their eyes, they're like, "Oh, we're creating super fights," but they're doing the wrong super fights. Mm-hmm. They're not in their right minds when they're creating these things. If let's say Floyd destroys McGregor, which would be what people expect, it's good for boxing. It does nothing for the UFC. Mm-hmm. It just shows that the UFC is what it is, and boxing is still its own little independent league. So if McGregor wins, I still don't think it does anything for the UFC, because he's not going back. He's going to be like, "Cool, I won. I'm done. I'm retired. Screw you guys. I'm going home to my baby." So I don't know. It just seems, I understand the money part of it. I understand that they're making insane amount of zeros on these paychecks, but it doesn't seem like a win-win for anybody other than Conor, I guess. Conor's making out like a bandit.
We're all still going to watch, though.
God, yeah, I know.
God, we're going to watch it whether we want to or not.
I've already decided. I'm starting the menu list, everything is going to be pigs
bigger than the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Irish car bombs.
Yeah. Some Guinness stew.
For sure. I don't know. Who are you going for? Do you want to see McGregor win?
I do. I'd love to see Mayweather lose.
Really?
That's the thing, too. I think a lot of people are going for McGregor in this because, number one, they don't like Floyd. You got your hardcore Floyd fans, but the thing is, dude, a lot of people don't like Floyd's personal life. A lot of people don't like what he's done in the past with women.
There's a lot of shitty people out there, but you can't take that away from their talent.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that's why people are going to root for McGregor.
We're not knocking his talent.
Yeah, he's one of the best of all time.
Yeah, but to not pick him because of his personal life?
No, who we want to win, not pick it. I think Floyd wins.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah,
I want Conor because I don't like Floyd. And because, man, how crazy would it be? I like MMA over boxing. So,
yeah,
I think it'd be crazy.
I don't know. I don't like Conor at the moment. I think Conor's way over his head. I think he's using the system to just, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I'd be doing the same thing, but I don't like it. I don't think it's good for the sport. I didn't like it when he left his division to go up and fight for the 170. I didn't like that either. I think it's and I also don't like that he's going into boxing 0-0 and getting to fight this 49-0 guy that he has no business even being in the ring with. There's so many guys that are in line that should have that shot, but they're not going to get that chance because they're not Conor McGregor.
But if you
which is the same thing that happened in the UFC, and that's why people like I'm sorry, in his division, what was
Max Holloway? Max Holloway got held up forever. He's finally the champion now, but he got held up forever.
Frankie Edgar.
Yes.
Lots of guys. And that's what, you want to talk personal life. I don't like Conor McGregor for that. But he doesn't owe anybody anything, so what are you going to do?
Well, as far as boxing goes, wasn't Mayweather retired? So you can't...
Yeah, no, yeah.
You can't knock the fact that Mayweather's coming out of retirement for this fight to get to that 50 mark. And if you look at Conor's, I mean... Money, UFC and money don't really go hand in hand for the fighters. Yeah. They don't really get that big of a pay cut. So for him to jump to boxing, get one of the biggest fights in the last 20 years, make $100 million, that's more than he's made in the 26 fights that he's made in the UFC, hands down.
Yeah, Conor did pave the way for fighters to find a way to make revenue in the UFC.
Finally.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm nothing against him for that. I just didn't like the way he could have done what Mighty Mouse is doing and still been just as big a name.
Oh, don't even get me started on what the UFC is doing with Mighty Mouse right now.
Right?
That's so sickening.
No, please vent.
God, man. Here's your possibly your best pound for pound fighter, if not your best pound for pound fighter, and he is just getting no respect from Dana White, no respect from the UFC. He was saying that Dana threatened to shut down the division and all this, and just he doesn't want to fight TJ Dillashaw because honestly, there's nothing in it for him to fight TJ Dillashaw. When's the last time TJ Dillashaw made 125 pounds? And I love watching TJ fight, but he's a 35er. He's not a 25er. And people will say, oh, he fought that, when he wrestled in college and whatnot. Oh, that's a long time ago. Why is DJ going to put himself on hold in his own division to face someone that there's no upside in fighting? It's not like he's going to beat another champion if he fought Cody, because that was the plan for Garbrandt. Garbrandt wants to beat Dillashaw and then cut to 25, which he can do, and fight Demetrius for that belt. Now that's a fight that makes sense for him, but the UFC is trying to pressure their longest tenured champion currently, and he's getting close to the all-time defense record for championships, and they're trying to pressure him and bully him around like he's a first-time fighter. And that's a whole nother topic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, doesn't make sense, but it's the way it is now. The UFC is in whack right now.
Money.
So the way the UFC is treating its fighters, isn't it a good thing that Conor's give him the ultimate FU to UFC by jumping to boxing?
Oh yeah, I think he's been giving the FU to the UFC since the minute he started doing what he's doing. I don't even understand why Dana White's so buddy with him. I mean, honestly, the money. I mean, we all understand.
It comes down to money.
At the end of the day, it's all about the money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all for today's episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast on SoundCloud or iTunes to get all updates on future content. And just remember, it's not important who's right or wrong, but it's always important to ask why.